Well, Ulster make 3 changes up front. Declan Fitzpatrick in the front row, Johan Muller in the second row, and Nick Williams in the back row. And behind the scrum, well, 2 changes. There was to be just one. Andrew Trimble for Tommy Bowe. But as has been mentioned, Darren Cave has come in at the last minute for the tummy bugged Jared Payne at outside centre. The Ospreys fielding a pretty formidable pack. 5 Lions in the Ospreys forward pack. Hibbert and Jones in the front row. Wynne Jones and Evans in the second row. Tipprick in the back row. And making his first start, the young Canadian international in the back row, Tyler Ardron. Behind the scrum, no Lions, but plenty of experience, particularly at half-back with the Italian Tito Tebaldi and the Ospreys' top point scorer, Dan Biggar. Midfield pairing of Bishop and Becker, formidable too. Referees from Munster, Mr. Peter Fitzgibbon, his 49th game in the league, and Ulster get this game underway. Pitch in great condition, and there's a man who's made a big plus since he arrived from the Zebra, Tito Tebaldi, but Paul Marshall just a little bit anxious. And speaking of scrum halves, Robert, you can't resist that, can you?
No, in fairness, Tito Tebaldi has come in this year. They've had some injury problems. Obviously, Khan Fortuali has left for Northampton, and I've been very, very impressed with this guy. I mean, he hasn't figured much for the Italian national side in recent seasons, but technically he's been outstanding this year. And with Rhys Webb due back from injury shortly, he's going to have a fight in his hands to overtake the performances that Tebaldi has put in.
Well, it all boils down to the need for strength and depth in every single position on the field. First line out following the penalty, Richard Hibbert. Oh, good steal by Ulster. Marshall gets it away to Declan Fitzpatrick. Missed last week's game because of a neck injury. Well presented by Fitzpatrick. Paddy Jackson put plenty of height in that. Richard Fussell waits. Darren Cave let him catch the ball, maybe gave him a wee bit too much room. Up quickly though is Luke Marshall, and they haven't been able to hold Fussell off the ground to force the turnover. Tebaldi on the narrow side. Eli Walker, he of the scalding pace and twinkling feet. Tebaldi again waiting, and again Ulster give away a penalty. Darren Cave, I think, was the man who just simply wasn't getting away at the tackle. But an impressive line-out steal initially, Robert, by Ulster.
It was, when you consider as well who he's up against, 2 British Lions, Ian Evans and the captain in the last test, Wynne Jones. Obviously a slight lack of communication there between Hibbard and his lock forwards, but Ulster did very, very well to get hands to that.
And what an absolutely terrific kick by the Ospreys outside half, Dan Biggar. This was the first penalty, and Paul Marshall, well, the ball was still in there and he was probably unsighted and couldn't really see. But what a position Biggar has put the Ospreys in.
Yeah, great kick by Biggar. Over 1,000 points now in league rugby, and still a young man at 23 years of age.
And you wouldn't bet against him overtaking the all-time record held by Dan Parks now with Connacht. Hibbert, better line out this time, well taken into the back. Good driving work by the men in black. Rory Best standing off, having a little glance to see if there's going to be movement, or is it going to be route one? It looks like route one. They've gone to ground. Biggar, charged down by Rory Best. Up quickly was the Lions hooker. Good tackle by Chris Henry, and it's been spilled by Eli Walker, and that's going to be an Ulster line-out. So Ulster have got away with that one.
Well, they have, but it was good pressure, in fairness, by Rory Best. Dan Biggar, I think, taking his time, it wasn't on. You could see that really from the word go. It was slow ball, the pressure was on, and a great charge there by Rory Best, and a follow-up by Dayak.
Well, Biggar looking very purposeful. Ulster's first line-out now. There's a couple of guys, or 3 or 4 guys in that line-out we'll know all about. Rory Best, Robbie Dayak, whom it's been announced today has extended his stay with Ulster until the end of the 2017 season. Another 3 years for the South African-born naturalised Ulsterman. Well taken by Walker, slipped away from Andrew Trimble. Tebaldi, Biggar, wee bit of room here. Nice little sortie by Andrew Bishop, and not the greatest pass in the world, and that's going to be an Ulster line-out. So a lot of pressure coming from Ulster.
Well, Ulster, yeah. I think they've done their homework. They certainly putting pressure on where it matters. Dan Biggar has said given time and space has dictated matters in probably recent seasons behind a pretty dominant pack as we've seen, but the pressure is coming on both Dan Biggar and the midfield, and at the moment it's certainly frustrating the Ospreys.
Paul Marshall standing at the front of the Ulster line-out. I, for some reason, don't think he'd be jumping. Well, that's come back on the Ulster side. Marshall took it well. The ball sat up awkwardly for him. Williams leaves it, likewise Tui, but there's no scrum half there, so somebody's going to have to play it. Alan Wynne-Jones barrels through. This is Best. Joe Beerman tries to wrestle the ball away, and he's done just that. Great piece of work by Beerman. There's half a chance, and there's not too many people can tear the ball away from Rory Best like that. Renowned for his upper body strength, and I think the pass was a little bit on the forward side, and maybe there was an accidental offside. And again, this is a to and fro game.
Well, it is. I mean, Rory Best there went in, but in fairness, you said Joe Beerman robbed him of the ball there. I'm just wondering, it was Ryan Bevington who was outside him. Had it been any of, if it had been Jeff Hassler, for instance, I'm sure that ball would have gone. But Ryan Bevington not quite in the same pace category. But Joe Beerman, again, a player who's come on leaps and bounds, very good when it comes to ball carrying, constantly crosses the gain line and showing strength there.
On the near side of the Ospreys scrum is Ryan Bevington, who very nearly got himself chucked out of the front row union, having scored a 40 or 50 metre try at Ravenhill last year. It's all very well when you crash over from a foot out to claim that you ran from the halfway, but he did run from the halfway, didn't he?
Well, he did, yeah. He's very mobile. Certainly couldn't see Adam Jones running the 40 metres to a line, but he certainly does all the hard graft when it matters at scrum time. But Ryan Bevington is a real player of promise, and you know, has shown his calibre in recent seasons, and very much part of the Welsh setup now.
Yep, 10 international caps to his name, a couple against Japan in the most recent summer. He's up against Declan Fitzpatrick.
Set.
2 all-international front rows. Peter Fitzgibbon not just quite happy with that. It's a little bit too much movement. Has this new change in sequence, Rob, improved the scrummage this season, do you think?
I think it has. I mean, the scrum in recent seasons hasn't given a backline any real platform to play off. You know, it's constantly been reset, or I think a lot of sides have really used the scrum as an opportunity to win penalties, and I think Wales have done it. I think the Ospreys to some degree as well, you know, and get those 3 points. But this year it's been far cleaner, and I said it's allowed the game to flow a lot more.
So Bevington against Fitzpatrick once again.
Set.
Scrum's not altogether straight at the moment. Free kick.
Not steady.
For early shoving by the Ospreys.
Not steady, number 1.
Now, what will Ulster do if they kick it directly into touch? Then it's going to be because it's only a free kick, it's going to be an Ospreys line out. So Paddy Jackson's going for the old-fashioned up and under, and that's just about perfect. Well, that was knocked forward. No interference on the man in the air, and that's a very good kick by Jackson. Right height, right angle, right distance.
It was. You've got to put pressure on the ball receiver, and you've got to have a good chase. And when the kick's as good as that, they all come together, more or less man and ball. In fairness, Trimble just took his hand away. He was up in the air, Jeff Hassler, but just took his eye off the ball. And I said it's worked in Ulster's favour. It's given them a platform and an opportunity in the Ospreys half.
Signed from Alberta in Canada, Jeff Hassler, with 4 Canadian caps to his name. Got a couple of tries from his 3 games so far this season. There's Justin Tipuric. What a very good Lions tour he had.
Crouch.
Another baleful look from Tito Tebaldi, just trying to work out what Ulster might be doing should they get the ball. Ospreys crowd wanting Ulster to get on with this. Good squeeze by the Ospreys, but Ulster recovered well. Marshall, referee, got in the way. Jackson inside to Darren Cave. Marshall again. Jackson. Luke Marshall. Good work by Craig Gilroy. Second week in a row he's played in the full back position. Paul Marshall. Ravi Dayak well and truly stopped in his tracks, but back in the Ulster side. Marshall. Little offload to Andrew Trimble, who's come in off his right wing. Marshall again. Decent continuity by Ulster. Chris Henry. Rode the tackle of Bevington well. A little bit on the slow side. Jackson. Cave inside to Luke Marshall. Ospreys defence so far pretty well marshalled, no pun intended. This is Paul Marshall. Again, it's slow coming back. Dayak. Again, he makes ground. Williams leaves it. Paul Marshall. Jackson on the narrow side. Rory Best sweeps it away to the in-form Michael Allen, who's the joint top try scorer with 3 in the league so far this season. Nick Williams, delighted to have signed a 2-year contract extension with Ulster. And Ulster keeping the ball well. Trimble, Cave, good angle by Cave. Ospreys being stretched a little bit now. Ulster trying to punch through the middle. Jackson, Dan Tui. Nice little skip by the big second row. Paul Marshall, thumping tackle.
Just a tackle.
Luke Marshall has to retrieve. Tibaldi nails him. Marshall looking for a runner. Gets it in Jackson. Nick Williams. Ball back on the Ulster side. Play on says the referee. Here's Cave. Good dummy by Cave. Nice little half break. Pass wasn't wonderful. Hacked on by Dyack, and they'll come back for the knock forward.
Well, that was very patient play by Ulster. You know, they had to take their time defensively. The Ospreys pretty well organised, but they just took their time and gradually built some momentum, which was key to them, you know, crossing the gain line. Joe Beerman actually put 2 big hits in there. I think the first was big enough, and I think he took a bit of a bump there, because as he was waiting for the second hit here on Jim Williams, which dislodged the ball, but he went backwards. But he's certainly been prominent early on, Joe Beerman. But I think Ulster certainly showing their promise there. A lot of good play, a lot of good ball carrying. Darren Cave, Marshall in particular, looking sharp and trying to bring runners on.
Yeah, Adam Jones just waiting for the little scrum half, and Marshall, very sensible, tried to straighten the whole thing up and stayed out of the clutches of the biggest teddy bear in the world.
Yeah, Andrew Trimble just read the situation there. As we saw, the gap was outside of Adam Jones, and that would have put him into acres of space.
Joe Beerman, who came 4 seasons ago after a distinguished career with the Dragons, 34, the oldest member of the starting 15 of the Ospreys.
Bind.
Just over 10 minutes gone. Free kick this time against Ulster at the scrummage. Tibaldi took a quick tap, but not through the mark. Referee will bring them back. You've got to take it through the mark, or in direct line between the mark and your own posts.
He's taking his time actually, these scrums though. I mean, it's normally quite sharp, you know, and that certainly benefits the scrum.
Well taken by Marshall. Back on the Ulster side, but it's been pinched by the Ospreys. Ulster a little bit slack there. Away goes Ashley Beck. Saw a bit of a gap in behind Michael Allen, who's legging it back into his own 22. Well covered by Allen. And a good clearance from a very narrow angle. And Ospreys thought about it. Biggar thought about the quick one.
Well, it was a good kick in fairness. I think Ashley Beck found the space. Didn't quite get it tight enough to the touchline perhaps. But Allen certainly got back there and put a lovely kick in.
Let's sort that out now.
Perhaps some people might say that Brian Bevington dived in on that ball when he was still in the ruck, but the referee allowing it.
Richard Hibbard. Not straight.
Option.
Scrum to Ulster. Almost 12 minutes played, still no score. Nothing much between them, no real clean breaks at all. But quite a few mistakes happening, Robert.
It is a bit damp out there. We've had a bit of rain over the past couple of hours. I mean, the pitch is in perfect condition, as you mentioned, Jim. But still a little bit damp. But Richard Hibbard, I think we saw the statistic there, 1 from 3 lineouts. And Steve Tandy, the coach, will not be happy with that.
Paul Marshall.
Bind.
Michael Allen is just staying well behind the scrum.
Up we get, up we get, up we get.
Well, Peter Fitzgibbon really is taking his time here. I don't know what's going on. There's also look as if they might be bringing on a replacement. I can see number 23, David McElwain, getting ready, and I'm not quite sure who's thinking of going off. I can see Neil Doak, the assistant or the Ulster backs coach there. Don't know whether there's an injury or what's happening. And it's Craig Gilroy is going off, and he's hobbling. Well, that's not so good. Craig Gilroy must have done something in that little sortie. He has his right thigh pretty heavily bandaged, so Craig Gilroy has gone off, and David McElwain, who can play fullback, has come on.
Bind. Set.
Jared Payne
Yes,
didn't make the plane this morning. Penalty against Brian Bevington in the front row, and now
No, downward pressure. His bind.
Craig Gilroy's gone off, but also got the penalty, but I think it's well outside anybody's kicking range.
It probably is, but 2 penalties now have gone Ulster's way. At scrum time on both occasions, Ryan Bevington has been penalised. I do think Peter Fitzgibbon needs to speed up a little on his calls at the scrum. It's taken an age, and you know, naturally, when you're just waiting to make that hit.
Okay. You'll drop right underneath, okay? Need it much longer. No.
Well, that's a very interesting call.
It's never on your arm, okay?
You know, who knows what's going on there?
Well, exactly. Don't ask me how to scrum off. I was close enough to it, but I certainly wouldn't know what happens.
And when Jones just barking instructions, well taken by Ulster at the front. Johan Muller, the captain, who missed last week's game. In goes Declan Fitzpatrick, Tui just having a little glance. Tom Court there as well. Marshall gets the hands on it. Chris Henry, well tackled by Evans. Good presentation by Henry. Here comes Tui. Rode the first tackle well. Marshall, little slip ball to Luke Marshall from Paddy Jackson, and again it's a little mistake, knocked forward, and it's going to be an Ospreys scrummage. Well, Ulster trying a few things, just the final touch is just not quite perfect.
Yeah, certainly looking quite sharp behind. Marshall at 9 is sharp in the delivery of the ball, you know, which gives that little bit of more time to the back line, and Paddy Jackson trying to vary things. I said Luke Marshall is pretty sharp in midfield, and you know, he's been quite impressive.
Ospreys just outside their 22 and just to the near side, the commentary side, as we look at it of their own posts. Tito Tebaldi, now capped 16 times for Italy, member of the Italian World Cup squad, but as Robert said, not getting much of a shout internationally at the moment, and this time the penalty goes against Declan Fitzpatrick. So it was Bevington one scrum, Fitzpatrick the next.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. He said it's.
Well, he needs to take a grip of this, because this
does.
Can't go on. I mean, these new dispensations were brought in to try to cut all this nonsense out.
And in fairness, most of the season they've been pretty simple and straightforward. Scrums have gone well, but we've seen, I said, 3 scrums have gone down, 3 penalties already. You know, only 15 minutes into this game, so he does need to take a little bit of control.
Ospreys have advanced by about 5 metres inside Ulster's half. Evans expecting, and Evans taking, and Evans driving and presenting nicely. Chris Henry getting out of it. Tebaldi shaping to kick. Biggar nearly out of the blocks a little bit too quickly. That's a good kick by Tebaldi. Andrew Trimble couldn't gather. Stolen by the Ospreys. Adam Jones at scrum half. Big tackle by Tui on Beerman, who's been everywhere this evening. Ulster trying to hold Tebaldi off the ground to force the scrummage. Well, they're doing a pretty good job of it. You can hear the referee say the word maul, and if he blows the whistle, it'll be an Ulster scrum, and he has blown the whistle, and it is an Ulster scrum. Good defence.
Did very, very well there. Initially, just ensuring that Tebaldi couldn't get that ball away. There was pressure on Beerman. He tried to offload going backwards, but they kept the pressure on. They kept the pressure on out wide, and as we've seen a lot from Irish provincial sides in the past few years, their ability just to hold the defender, the attacking player up, and that's what they did with Tebaldi. It was a great kick by Tebaldi early on, you know, almost perfectly weighted, and Dan Biggar getting up there to win possession, but that was very good play. And Gilroy there looks as if it's not a thigh injury, it's an ankle injury.
It's his ankle. Well, that's unfortunate. There's Robbie Dyack, the South African, who signed a 3-year extension with Ulster. Well, that scrum's moving around all over the place. It's a little bit better. Goose squeezed by the Ospreys. Paul Marshall, and that's bounced nicely, and Ulster, although they've given away possession, have made something in the region of 30 or 40 metres.
Well, I said it's still early on, 0-0. You know, they want to play down in the opposition territory. And Marshall, I said, has looked really sharp. Always been impressed with his ability to get the ball away quickly, and he's growing in experience and getting better and better season by season.
Siprick at the back, and he was taken in the air. That's a penalty against Ulster. Chris Henry, the culprit, his opposite number. Peter Fitzgibbon, I think, will probably have a word. Alan Wynne-Jones not happy, and Chris Henry's been around long enough to know that he can't interfere with the man who's
genuinely
got the ball.
contested for possession, but you still must be careful when he's in the air, okay? It's a penalty, be more careful.
Well, that's a warning.
It's just a penalty, be more careful, said Peter Fitzgibbon.
My first impression there, though, Jim, was that the support players actually left him go. He was stuck in the air and he fell to the ground. Might have a better example here.
Well, they did. They took, oh gosh, that's a bit harsh on Chris Henry, unless he came in underneath him with the shoulder. Here it is again. Up he went.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he actually competed for the ball.
Yeah, I think that's harsh on Chris Henry.
Yeah, I do.
Biggar certainly made the most of it. What a smashing kick down the line by Dan Biggar yet again.
Well, Dan Biggar, he's not going to set the world alight with ball in hand, but he's brave. He does the simple things very well. And kicking wise, Jim, he's been fantastic, not just at goal, but I said his tactical game and his ability to get the Ospreys where they need to play.
Yeah, 1003 league points. Quicker ball at the back, but nobody will receive it. Well, that's very clever stuff. Gareth Bale will be proud of that. Never mind Joe Bierman. Oh, good offload to Alan Wynne-Jones. This is more like it from the Ospreys now. A bit of ahead of steam. Tabaldi thought about the dummy. Runs into Dyack and Williams. Referee's given a penalty against Ulster. You did hear him say, get away, White.
Not a maul, a tackle. It's a tackle. Give me a genuine attack. Roll away, number 8 White.
And this could, two successive penalties. One a little bit harsh could give the Ospreys the lead.
Yeah, that probably, it was a penalty if you go letter of the law, but, you know, so many times I see the tackles being made and the tackler just has no place to go there. If he's going to have to if he gets out of the way, he's got to basically go back to his own line and over his own player, and that's almost impossible to do. So I said it's rather fortunate, but it does give Dan Biggar a chance to open his account on the Ospreys account.
So here's Biggar, who's got an 80% success rate in his kicking so far this season in his 4 league outings. This looks pretty well within his range, and that's a nice strike, and that's the opening point of this game, and we're now into the second quarter. So after a lot of toing and froing and a lot of mistakes and a lot of frees and a lot of penalties, the Ospreys finally take the lead, 3-0 up.
Yeah, it's been pretty even Stevens, really, isn't it? It's no side has dominated. Probably most of the territorial game has been played in Ospreys' half.
Nice little chip by Paddy Jackson for his teammates to chase, but there was Alan Wynne-Jones, the Ospreys skipper, who got above everyone.
Onside.
Tabaldi
Hold.
looking to go down the line to release Hassler. Well, he's kicked that nicely. It's come in field. Great take by big Nick Williams. Laid it back nicely, but it's not clean ball. Too many Ospreys there with the ball.
Use it!
No sign of Marshall. Muller, Jackson trying to keep the lid on it. Well covered though by Tito Tabaldi. Jackson recovered from a slip, so the surface down there is very greasy. This is David McElwain. Ian Evans didn't make much of an attempt to get out of his way, but then he didn't have to. Here's Fussell. Eli Walker, now there's a bit of room for him, and he has got serious pace. Well tackled by Andrew Trimble from Ulster. Clever stuff. Hibbert up to halfway. Trimble again made the tackle. Alan Wynne-Jones just taken off at the ankles. Tabaldi, Biggar has a wee glance. Well, there he goes, but cut down right on halfway, but that was clever. Kept the Ulster defence thinking. Here they come again. Hibbert, Fussell. Was it a bit of crossing? No. Innocent enough.
Number 2, side entry.
Richard Hibbert coming in from the side, and I have a feeling, Robert, it was the touch judges, I prefer to call them, on the near side drew the referee's attention to that.
Yeah, I think he did. He just overrun Richard Fussell early on. I says a lot of good movement because he just overrun. He has to go back. He's trying to take Paul Marshall out there, and absolutely right, correct decision.
Yes, he was spinning round, his momentum took him round, but he still hung on to Paul Marshall nevertheless.
He did. Joe Bierman again impressive there though. And we said we've seen him defending superbly, and in attack he's made yards, he's broken tackles, and his offload game has been first class as well.
And the two interested spectators there. Best that characteristic little shrug before he attempts to put the ball in. Good take. Marshall. Luke Marshall tried to go on his own. He had Cave with him, but Ulster got up a little bit of momentum. Paul Marshall to Nick Williams. Spun out of the first tackle. Better stuff by Ulster. 10 metres from the line. Paddy Jackson. Andrew Trimble, who'd come in off the right wing to line up in the left, where he's pretty happy as well. Still there for Ulster. Marshall says, come on, somebody behind me. It could have been away quicker. Tom Court, a little bit upright, but he's made it presentable. Dyack, change of direction, realizing there wasn't too much outside him. Now Tipperick, did he come in from the wrong side? Dyack's trying to present it, and he's done just that. Paul Marshall, swept away by Henry. Good tackle on Nick Williams. I think it was Bierman again. Johan Muller saying to the referee, come on, there's a hand in there, but the referee's having none of it. Paddy Jackson slipped away to McElwain, who couldn't quite control, and that's going to be an Ospreys scrummage.
Well, there were good signs early on. They said they're making those yards, finding a little bit of space. Some good work in terms of attacking the shoulders as opposed to running straight at defenders. Perhaps trying to be a little too clever there with very little space to play in, but the Ospreys defending well, and as you said, Joe Bierman at the heart of it in terms of the big hits in particular.
You very often get, when you get a star-studded side, it's the guys who haven't had the international recognition that stand out, and that's certainly the case tonight with Joe Bierman. I can think of less accomplished back row forwards who've been capped. Well taken in by the Ospreys. 25 minutes gone, they lead 3-0. Tito Tebaldi just urging his pack to present the ball to him. Well, he gets it away to Tipperick, and also trying to keep the squeeze on the Ospreys. Now Tebaldi for the kick.
Stop!
And he's found his touch, but it's going to be an Ulster liner. So well away and well organised by the Ospreys pack, to be fair.
Well, I said, confident enough to take it up that extra yard or so, which allowed Tebaldi a little bit more room to play. It wasn't such a tight angle to get up all the way into touch, which gave him the opportunity to gain some more yardage.
Well, just a measure of how damp it is out there. Rory Best is having to dry the ball. Again, Marshall at the front of the line out. Nick Williams in the scrum half position. Oh, man and ball and everything. That still could be anybody's, but it's not going to be the Ospreys. Darren Cave up very quickly. Well presented by Hassler. Jackson covers now. He's taken that into his 22.
Stand still.
And he saw a bit of space there, and the ball has sat up nicely. It may cross the line, and it hasn't crossed the line, so the Ospreys will have to play it, and Biggar does play it. And Ulster, the net gain is probably a few metres to Ulster.
Yeah, it probably was. I said Paddy Jackson seeing where the space was. Dan Biggar, in fairness. That was a great hit. I think that's Tyler Andron making his first start for the Ospreys, young Canadian back row forward.
Big fella, 6'4", even 22 years of age, joined from the Ontario Blues. Had a couple of games as a replacement, but this is first start. Good Ulster line out. Rory Best to Johan Muller, tried and tested combination. Paul Marshall, pretty awful pass. Cave tidies it up, runs into his opposite number, Andrew Bishop, who's been told to get away out of it. Marshall to Jackson.
Wait.
Again, Jackson looking for space, but the space is covered by Tebaldi. Down the tram lines. Jackson on his knees has a little glance.
Out right.
Now that's a good kick. He's given his forwards time to get underneath it. But it's back on the Ospreys side, and Fussell gets it away. Luke Marshall keeps it in.
Just stand there, Whitley brings you on.
Fussell has to go into his 22, but there's safety in there, and even more safety in the hands of Biggar. What a kick by Biggar. That is beautiful. Oh, well kept in by Andrew Trimble. And Paddy Jackson didn't touch it, despite what the crowd think. We might have to have another look at that, but I don't think he touched it. Here comes Richard Fussell.
Stay out, stay out.
And again, Luke Marshall keeps it in the field. And this time he gives it plenty of air. Oh, that's been knocked into touch. And if it's knocked into touch, you can actually take the scrum if you want, or you can take the line out.
Yeah,
it was Bierman covering.
I was going to say it was a lovely play. I don't think he actually touched this.
No, he didn't touch it.
Sort of bias from the home support there.
Just a bit.
But I thought, in all honesty, that Bierman knocked that on. The ball came up, he was covering well. But no, the referee was right on the spot.
Yes, I think if you knock it on into touch, you can actually have the option of the line out, which Ulster are taking. That was Tui. This is Paddy Jackson. Again looking for a bit of space, but it lands cleverly and cleanly in the arms of Fussell, who makes a bit of ground. Now Trimble's going to have to be quick. And he is. Hasn't found his touch. Here's to Baldy, legging it down the far touchline. Nice little pass, got it inside to big Ashley Beck. Baldy gets back into position quickly, better ball. Here comes Fussell. Had a little glance outside him and saw there were 3 tight forwards outside him, but here come the Ospreys again. Decent Ulster defence, but for how much longer? Alan Wynne-Jones, Tipperick gets it away. Jeff Hassler, the Canadian. Fussell at scrum half. Laid back by Richard Hibbard to Baldy. Alan Wynne-Jones outside him. The Commanders use it, they do use it.
Side entry number 6.
And it's the Canadian, the other Canadian, Tyler Ardron, getting penalised for coming in at the side.
Yeah, 3 of them together, going for the drives together, but I think again slightly in front, very much what happened with Richard Hibbard earlier. But again, you know, we've seen glimpses. This game certainly hasn't come to life yet. Both sides testing each other out. It's a bit slip, a bit greasy, and the territory game is the all-important game at the moment.
I'm sure it's grossly inaccurate, but you're wondering, have they got Europe on their minds?
Well, they probably have. There's no doubt. I mean, that's next week. That's where. But both teams will want a performance beforehand. You know, they want to win, of course, but they want a performance. And I would say that certainly the Ospreys and probably Ulster have picked a side who they feel, bar 1 or 2 players, will be taking the field next week, and you know they'll expect at least a performance to go into that, and a good performance and a result.
Overthrow by Ulster. Biggar. A bit on the forward side, little chip and chase. David McElwain is covering, took it well, very nearly got away. Needs a bit of help. Ulster standing off him a little bit. Now Paul Marshall. Jackson taken by Muller. Ulster still inside their own half. Now Paddy Jackson. Luke Marshall, lovely little pass. Trimble, foot on the gas. Here's McElwain, better from Ulster. Luke Marshall just couldn't quite control. Advantage to the Ospreys, and the referee is playing that advantage. Baldy looking for a runner and gets it in the shape of the pretty speedy prop Ryan Bevington. Baldy has kicked well from the hand, and that's another good one. Great take by Trimble, and great strength by Trimble. Gets it away to McElwain, who's been lively since he came on for Craig Gilroy. Paul Marshall. Jackson, mismove. Tom Court, Tui tries to straighten it. Michael Allen was outside him. Back crowd thought it was forward. Referee happy that it wasn't. Tui again. Chris Henry there and Rory Best. Paul Marshall, lively stuff from Ulster. Nick Williams needs to present it, and he does.
It's your own player.
Jackson, Cave. Well, just running out of room. There were 3 or 4 Ulster players squeezed between him and the touchline. Well recovered as ever by Chris Henry. Andrew Bishop told to remove himself.
Back.
Marshall, well, it's getting very slippery. Difficult for scrum halves this evening. Offside position in at the side, I think, and that's well, from an Ulster perspective, that's a bit of a pity because they were starting to put 2 or 3 decent phases together.
I think the best passages of play have come from Ulster to date. There's no doubt about it. They've looked lively. Great work down this right-hand touchline again in, you know, sort of the narrow channels, just to hold defenders and get those passes away and put the likes of Trimble into space has been excellent. But the greasy surface we saw there again with Paul Marshall, the ball just slipping out of his grasp, and when you're on the floor and trying to present, you either concede possession or you give a penalty away, which is what happened.
Well, 33 minutes played and there's only one score between them, 3-0 to the Ospreys after some 20 minutes, a penalty by Dan Biggar, but the first half has fairly galloped in, and there was the man himself, Dan Biggar. That's a bit loose. Oh, Fitzpatrick should have gone for that, but Robbie Dyack has nailed it, but it came off the fingertips of Declan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, it did a bit messy. I said it has been quite a scrappy affair to date. We've seen too many errors. I said both sides cancelling each other out, really. I said I think, you know, certainly in terms of attack, Ulster have looked the more dominant, but there's been no clear-cut chances. No real space has opened up to allow either side to get across the whitewash.
Well, Ulster still waiting for All Black prop John Afoa to return. Milan Pinar is expected to be back in Belfast on Monday.
Bind!
Tommy Bowe, if he's recovered from a dead leg, I'm sure will be in consideration for the opening Heineken Cup game. Ulster at home to the Leicester Tigers next Friday night, a game you can hear with us on BBC Radio Ulster. Peter Fitzgibbon, who started his international refereeing career by doing the Wales-Samoa game away back in 2009, seems to be enjoying his evening. Tabaldi with ball in hand.
Bind! Set!
Well, both sets of props getting good long binds. In it goes. Good squeeze by Ulster. And Paul Marshall is disrupted. That's good work, first of all, by the Ulster tight 5, and then by the smallest man in the park. Well, a bit of a swing there, lion on lion. Adam Jones putting himself about and almost giving Rory Best a 4-1.
Time off.
The referee's bonus whistle. Has somebody brought his attention to something? I think there might have been a punch swung. It might have been Adam Jones. The touch judge on the far side has definitely got a flag out for something.
Well, he came in
on, going to be a bit of a consultation. Yeah.
Paul Marshall.
Come on, John.
Well, let's listen to this. It's Jonathan Mason coming on.
What have you seen?
Yep.
No, there's a little bit of handbags between both sides coming this side.
Yeah.
Black 3.
Can't just quite hear what he's saying to Peter Fitzgibbon.
The neck and pulled him to the ground.
So black 3.
Black 3 by the neck to the ground. Recommendation penalty.
I think it's going to be a penalty against Adam Jones. Black 3 is mentioned. I don't think it's anything too serious. I don't think it's cardable.
The 3.
Naughty Adam Jones.
He got a bit frustrated. I think something happened in the scrum.
The scrum is irrelevant. You can't take a guy around the neck and push him to the ground, okay? That's the report from the touch judge. You need to be very careful now, okay? It's a penalty against you. Be careful.
So Ulster get the penalty and a decent chance to make some territory and perhaps launch their last attack before the interval, which is only, well, less than 5 minutes away.
It seemed as if Paul Marshall was just roaming around the side of the ruck. I can't really see it now. And he grabs him by the neck and drives him to the deck.
Oh dear.
That's definitely a penalty offence.
Absolutely.
So touch judge got it right.
If you look at it again, and particularly he's picked on somebody half his size, it's not fair, is it? You wouldn't have liked that.
Not at all. I mean, I think he's slightly frustrated. He got up from a scrum and then
Marshall.
there.
Luke Marshall had to take a loopy pass but took it well. Eli Walker had come in off his wing to make the tackle. Paul Marshall, Paddy Jackson. Michael Wayne just dropped it. Second time his hands have let him down this evening. Maybe even the third. Hadn't expected to come into the side when Jared Payne cried off. He was drafted into the replacements panel, and then almost, well, before he knew what was going on, he was brought onto the side as a replacement for Craig Gilroy. Now the pass was a bit of a whippy one. It was delivered at quite a bit of pace, to be fair to David McElwain.
Well, it was, but you'd expect him to take it. But it probably sums up the half. I think, you know, there were 3 errors there in that passage of play alone.
Bind!
Just over 3 minutes to go, and just 3 points separating them.
Yes, 9.
Ulster will not be altogether unhappy about that situation, but they want to come away from here with something. Remember, they won all 4 games in Wales last season. The only Welsh side to beat them, incidentally, were the Ospreys at Ravenhill, when Ulster were seemingly in control, and then Ryan Bevington decided to take things into his own considerable hands. Robin McBride on the near side. It's like Master Jenkins in the middle, isn't it?
It is. It is Mr. Jenkins.
Go to the same hairdresser.
Bald as Coots.
Well, it was an old relation of mine to say grass never grew in a busy street, so we let them away with that. It's a penalty against the Ulster front row again.
It's not good though, the scrums, no.
Go back, time off. Number 3, please.
He's going to have a word with Declan Fitzpatrick about his scrummaging. Adam Jones getting very irate.
Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. Okay, you can go back. I don't need you. Okay. On the engagement, you either drop in your bind or you're going in at an angle, okay? Just listen to me, it's a second penalty against you. There is a possibility of a yellow card coming your way if you don't change your behaviour.
Well, Johan Muller wanted to ask the referee something, and Peter Fitzgibbon has decided that the conversation is well and truly over. So Declan Fitzpatrick, now 30 years of age, 5 Irish caps to his name, and he's been with Ulster since 2006 and has only accumulated something in the region of 70 odd caps, so averaging about 10 a season. A career which has been interrupted time after time with injury. Well, the referee's saying that was Fitzpatrick took it down.
He said he said he let go of his bind. I mean, he let go of the bind because he had to, because the scrum was already sort of on the deck.
Long line out ball, well taken to the back by Ardron. Oh, lovely break, and again the slippery surface just betrays the runner. Ryan Bevington may have nudged that forward. Richard Hibbard takes it forward. A bit of obstruction there by the Ospreys just when they were starting to press home their advantage. Territorially, Ulster have certainly dominated this first half, but the Ospreys have taken whatever chances, albeit one single one, that have come their way.
Yeah, that was really good play from the line-out. As I said, you know, they're not being able to play off scrums either side, so the line-out has become their only attacking weapon, and Tabaldi taking it right to the back row. Lovely angle. That pass went backwards. Ashley Beck slightly overrun it, but still managed to keep his stride through the big hole. Maybe Peter Fitzgibbon in the way there. Didn't allow Paddy Jackson to get across. But that was the first time they've managed to get on the front foot.
Ulster's line out back in track. Best to Tui, who takes it. And Best comes round to help. Marshall calling for it, but Ulster moving forward. Alan Wynne-Jones in the way, got for the first time in his career and penalised for dragging the driving maul down. And another penalty to Ulster. Now there's just about time, I think, to go to touch for one last line out. Peter Fitzgibbon has asked for the time, the clock to be stopped. And I think he's going to have another word with Jonathan Mason on the far side.
By White and a black player in that maul. Can you just check that for me, so if there's any foul play by White in the maul?
Checking, I think he's saying foul by a white player on a black player.
I mean, penal Alan Wynne-Jones, I think, for, well, was it taking it down? Was it?
It was taking it down deliberately. I mean, he came in the wrong side and then he took it down. But the touch judge Jonathan Mason on the far side has obviously spotted a misdemeanour by an Ulster player, which could mean that the penalty could be reversed, and Biggar, with time really on the blow at half-time, might just go for the post. Let's have a look at that. Well, there's Alan Wynne-Jones. He's being held on to by Dan Tui. Now, there's nothing really wrong with that, is there? I don't see what's wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that at
No,
all.
there's nothing wrong with that. And if they go upstairs to the TMO, who happens to be a comparative novice called Derek Bevan, 44 internationals to his name, and the man who refereed the 1991 World Cup final, will have a look at that, and I'll be surprised if he finds against Dan Toohey.
I mean, that's just typical second row forwards, trying to get the better of your opposite number. Alan Wynne-Jones managing to sneak his way through. I mean, he's got his hand around her neck, but there's nothing malicious there.
No, it's nah.
I'd be very surprised if Derek Bevan gives anything from this. I mean, there's a penalty there for deliberately pulling it down. That should stand.
Maybe it was the elbow now. From that angle,
from that angle it looks a little bit.
There might have been a little bit of an elbow on the face, but it's up to Derek Bevan.
Time's off, yeah.
Alan Wynne-Jones, all innocence, isn't he?
He's a very clever rugby player. He puts himself in positions he shouldn't be in.
I'm just checking, yeah.
But he's pretty bright. And they said manages to get away with it. They said the innocence of I'm moving out of the way, but he's already slowed possession down. Or
yes, go ahead.
There was an elbow by White 5 in the face of the second.
Unfortunately, I'm not hearing Derek Bevan, but it'll be
the
relayed to Peter
penalty,
Fitzgibbon.
penalty black.
So it's foul play by White 5?
Yes.
So just giving the penalty, was it before?
The penalty is going to be reserved. Foul play by White 5 is a decision by Derek Bevan, and what advantage Ulster may have had as we come into the last few seconds is going to be reversed.
You can't go up around the neck in the maul, okay? Be very careful. Can't be reversed.
I said one angle did look worse than the other.
So what do the Ospreys do? 28 seconds according to the clock, and Biggar has decided to go for the post, and probably, given the way the game is at the moment, that's the right decision.
Oh, I think without doubt. I mean, the way it's been so far, this game is going to be decided by the best kicker or the best, most disciplined side. At the moment, I said there's been 2 kickable chances, both have fallen the Ospreys' way. So yeah, it's going to go down to the wire.
He's onside, just go back level.
I suppose in mitigation, Dan Toohey, like a lot of players at this level, when they see somebody getting in and spoiling the whole thing, it's very difficult not to try to get them out of the way in whatever way they can. But because the touch judges or assistant referees are allowed to intervene, and the TMO can be called in for foul play, then you simply can't take any chances.
There's just no room to hide anymore, Jim.
Not like the old days.
The good old days.
Absolutely. Here comes Biggar. Oh, he struck that beautifully. And that's a fantastic kick to end the first half. So 2 out of 2 from Dan Biggar. 1 after 20 minutes, 1 after 40 minutes, and a little bit of indiscretion by Ulster, who had certainly the majority of the possession and the majority of territorial advantage. That means that Ulster are trailing this game. And it hasn't been a bad half of rugby. A lot of mistakes and probably far too many free kicks.
Yeah, it has. It's there's been far too many mistakes. You know, both sides will be disappointed with that. Ulster territorially, I think, had the advantage, but at the end of the day, the Ospreys have taken the opportunity to come their way.
2 bigger penalties, half time. It's Ospreys 6 and Ulster 0.
Well, recent games between these two sides have been close, and this one is no different, but at times it hasn't been that pretty. The defence is to the fore, and it's the boot of Dan Biggar which has given the home side the lead. 2 penalties to 0. Ulster said during the week if they were to win this game they may have to do it ugly, and it looks to be that way. Bryn Cunningham and Tony McWhirter have been watching with what has been an error-strewn first half, to be honest, Bryn.
Yeah, I was looking forward to talking about a few spectacular tries, but we haven't had it. Yeah, I mean, the defences have been on top. Probably the disappointing thing from an Ulster perspective is that they've probably dominated with the ball in hand. They've looked the more dangerous side, and they've moved the ball, interchanged, they're passing pretty well. But what they haven't done is, at the ruck time, they haven't then picked and gone, and that's where the holes are. The Ospreys are only putting 1 player into every ruck, and Ulster don't seem to be recognising that. They continue to shift the ball, and they're just faced with a line of defence across the pitch, and there's nowhere to go.
Do you agree? Too slow at the breakdown for Ulster? Is that the main problem?
I think there's a bit of that. It's very one-dimensional. Ulster have struggled to break the gain line. We've seen very little of Nick Williams' ball in hand. A couple of times he has had it. He's been absolutely creamed in the tackle. But there is space around ruck. Ospreys are committing nobody bar the tackler, and it's on for either a forward to arrive and to pick and go through the middle, or for a forward to pick and rumble around the side, or even for Paul Marshall just to space it up a little bit, go around the side, bring a forward in. At the minute, it just seems to be
which is the strength of his game.
It is a strength of his game. You know, at the minute, all he's doing is really hitting Paddy Jackson. Paddy's got really no option but to either kick or else, you know, for the ball to go wide. And it looks nice, but it's nicely patterned, but it's ineffective at the minute.
It's also, I mean, you've got to keep the opposition honest. I think that's the whole point. Yeah. Unless you try it once or twice, they're not going to put any more than one person in. They'll continually fan out, and Ulster aren't going to get any change if they continually do that, because there aren't going to be enough spaces in the wider channels for the outside backs.
The line-outs this evening started well for Ulster, but then unfortunately not so as the half went on.
Yeah, started well. I think turned over the first Ospreys one, which was good. Our own set piece in terms of line-out has been good as well. But it's just been very fractured, Stephen. It's been a game dominated by the referee. You see Johan Muller gets up brilliantly here, well tidied up by Paul and then set up by Rory. But that's just been the way the game's been, and there's been no flow to the game. It's been set piece to, you know, simple mistakes, errors. Stuart, I think you used at the start, and that's, you know, great words to describe it. Ulster have defended well on the Ospreys ball. I think we'll see a good example from Chris Henry later on. Our own ball has been good, but there's been no clear off the top ball, which is what backs are looking for.
Yeah, I think that's the point. You know, there has been no good ball. Even there, just didn't get it quite right. Paul Marshall put under an awful lot of pressure, and that's what the Ospreys are very, very good at as well. If the ball's not quite right, it'll come through on you very quickly. I think Bierman in particular has been outstanding in that department. He's been the standout player for me in that first half. He's putting an awful lot of pressure in and around that ruck area, not allowing them to get the ball, you know, out into the 10 or 12 channel too easily. They're putting an awful lot of pressure on there. So, but yeah, if the referee can't control it, that's half the battle really. And unfortunately, at the moment, it's just blowing the whistle every other second, and that's making the game very fragmented.
Do you agree that the referee is too prominent here this evening at this stage?
Well, yes, he is prominent. Is it all of his own making? Probably not. I think there's a certain amount of toing and froing going on in the forwards in the front row, but it's an easy decision for him to make. I think the scrum in particular has been badly managed. I think up until now the Rabo's been good, and the Ulster matches that we've seen have been well refereed, where there's been a clear platform, good instruction given to both sets of forwards, and subsequently we've seen ball which backs can use. I think we've struggled to actually see a ball coming out of a scrum this evening, and subsequently the feast of rugby which we were hoping for we haven't seen.
Teams are coming to terms with new scrummaging laws this season, but I mean, they seem to be pretty shambolic this evening, to be honest.
At this stage of the season, you would like to think that they would have the rules, you know, under their hand a little bit better at this stage. You know,
am I being too harsh?
No,
or is that fair?
I don't think so. I think the problem is that unless the referee actually does take control of it and maybe put somebody in the sin bin, we don't like to see people put in the bin, but sometimes that's what it takes to actually get the front rows to go, right, if I don't keep this up, I'm going in the bin for 10 minutes, I'm going to cost my side potentially points, and therefore they have to scrummage properly. I think we've seen with the new laws, it means that you're seeing more from the hookers now. It's much more important that you have scrummaging hookers in there, which obviously suits Rory Best an awful lot. But unfortunately, if they keep going down, the referee just seems to be giving one penalty to one side and one to the other. And as Tony rightly said, unless you're getting some decent ball from the scrum, the game is never going to get any sort of flow.
Andrew Trimble was inside the bear suit at Ravenhill last week as Sparky the mascot, has catapulted himself into the starting lineup for this week's match. What have you made of his performance so far?
He's been very solid. I think if we're being honest, I think if Tommy Bowe had been fit, Andrew probably would have started on the bench. But certainly in terms of what he's done tonight, he's not lacking in effort. He's come looking for the ball in terms of contact situations. He's fielded the ball well and he's kicked well, and I think he'll be pretty pleased for his first outing of the season in terms of how he's going.
Yeah, no, he's showing the full array of skills. I think this particularly was good. He's worked hard at that aspect of his game where you can see the big high knee to make sure that any oncoming defenders that he's got a good platform, you know, a good bit of skill there as well to keep that ball in play, you know, because Biggar's put a lot of pressure on him with his kicking game. But no, I think Trimble's been very, very good, but unfortunately just hasn't had the opportunity with any space out in the wide channels.
Paddy Jackson hasn't had a chance to goal kick yet. What have you made of his kicking out of hand tonight so far? He's varied it well, hasn't he?
He has varied it well. I think all bar one, there was a crossfield kick as the half went on, and that's the only kick that he's really placed badly. He looks very composed, he looks very comfortable. We see a great up and under from him here and a tremendous chasing line, and subsequently the turnover comes. But I think certainly his kicking has improved out of hand this season, both in terms of accuracy, Stephen, but also in terms of the amount of distance he's actually getting in the ball as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with Tony. It's the thing that I've noticed the most from him is the hang time he's getting on the up and unders. It looks like he's maybe putting him 5 or 10 yards too far, but actually he's getting an extra second or two in the air, and that's allowing the oncoming players to actually challenge for that ball, and that's all you're really asking for those up and unders. If you can challenge for that ball, then it's a 50-50 and the ball can go loose. You see there, the ball going loose again. That time it goes into the Ospreys' hand, but it could very easily go into Ulster's hands.
That was at this obviously one of his
that was
poor
his
kicks.
And you know, he's mixing up his kicking game. I think last week we saw him hit 2 very, very effective crossfield kicks, one that led to Tommy Bowe's try. So he's trying to mix it up, and to be honest, he has to, because with the way the Ospreys are defending and they come up very, very hard and very flat, sometimes that is where the space is, just in behind, and it's just getting, you know, the angles just right and the trajectory just right for his wingers to hit that ball at pace.
Was the decision before half-time by the referee to give the penalty to the Ospreys controversial in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think there was really too much in it, was there? It's just one of those again. It's just been, you really could toss a coin in terms of how it's going to come down to. I think Dan Tui's very unlucky here. I think it, again, potentially looks worse because it's in slow motion. Alan Wynne-Jones is in the side of the ruck. Eventually the referee penalises him for collapsing it. I think if there had been anything deemed intentional from Alan Wynne-Jones, I think he would have sought retribution on Tui, but he got up, he wasn't complaining about it. And
the referee's assistant had a clear view of it there, but does not signal until after the referee gives the penalty,
again,
who
it's
is
just
pretty much unsighted.
It's a slow motion, I think, makes it look worse than what it potentially is for me.
Yeah.
He disagrees though.
I think the more and more you look at it in slow motion, then the more likelihood he was going to give the penalty. But
Anyway,
it was probably harsh.
It was a penalty which Dan Biggar kicked there. Thank you for the moment. Now, Michael Allen may have only made his debut for Ulster last season, but this year he's looked as if he's been in the team for years. Allen has scored 3 tries in the last 2 games. But this week, Thomas Niblock caught up with him and found out that the 23-year-old likes to look good for the big game.
Hi, Paul. How's it going, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you. Get my hair cut, get my hair washed. First time in a long time, yeah.
You think of the wing position, you think of guys that have to score tries, but in many respects you've almost made a bit of a name for yourself over the past couple of weeks with your defensive work. I guess that must be pleasing.
Yeah, it's nice to be recognised for something, but I'd rather be recognised for a lot more things than just physicality or defence. I'm probably not ready to play at the centre. Obviously with Darren Cave and Jared Payne coming into 13 as well now, there's a lot of competition there as there is in the back 3, so I'll take a spot wherever I'm put.
This season, Michael, for you to achieve your dream and start in the European Cup, more than likely that will mean either Tommy Bowe or Andrew Trimble will be dropped to make way. How do you feel about
that? Whenever you say it, it seems like it's never going to happen, but it's, Mark said it, it's down to form, and if form dictates the play, and I'm hoping that I can have a good game this weekend and maybe give him even more of a headache for next week's selection.
Fabulous piece of handling, no doubt about it.
Do you ever go to watch Ireland play?
I haven't actually been down. No, I haven't been down to the New Aviva Stadium, but I would love to get down and watch them. Yeah.
Would you like to play for them?
Who wouldn't? He's grown up watching Ulster and Ireland and the other provinces. Yeah, of course, if you play professional rugby, you want to represent your country. And yeah, I would love nothing more than the pull on the green shirt.
Do you think you're good enough?
Maybe not right now, but hopefully, at the end of this season, if my form keeps the way it is, and maybe next year I can maybe push for a squad spot. But at the minute now, I'm focusing on playing for Ulster and being the best Ulster player I can be.
Happy haircut for the game.
Hopefully.
Hard to believe the first time he goes to the Aviva Stadium he might play for Ireland, but anyway, he's looking like he's in next week, because of course there's no Bow, no Gilroy now as well, and Payne not there tonight either. Yeah, well, we don't know the extent of those injuries, whether they're going to keep him out for another week or not, but you can certainly say Michael Allen's been in outstanding form. He's done very, very well, and he's full of confidence, which is very, very important for an outside back, because if you've got confidence, you go looking for the ball, and that's what he's doing at the moment. Briefly, Tony, what do Ulster need to do here to try and get themselves back in front on the leaderboard?
I think Ulster have to mix it up a little bit, Stephen. As I said, very one-dimensional in the first half. Game parity at set piece, starting to use the ball a little bit more with their heads rather than with basically kicking the ball. Okay, Tony, Brent, thank you very much indeed. It's back to our commentary team, Robert and Jim.
Well, Adam Jones as hirsute as ever. Joe Grayman outstanding in the first half. The Ospreys about to get the second half underway. Dan Biggar, the man who's made the difference in terms of the points scored. 2 penalties, one after 20 minutes, one after 40 minutes. And it's going to be Biggar to start this second half. A try early on or a score early on could well decide the outcome of this game and decide whether or not Ulster stay in 5th place or even maybe drop down after the weekend, which would not be the ideal preparation for Europe, or whether they'll be able to move up and give themselves a real boost with the visit of the Leicester Tigers. Paul Marshall has put in a good kick, and Michael Allen's got himself offside. You could hear Peter Fitzgibbon really yelling, winger stop, and he must have been in front of Paul Marshall when he kicked it. So Ulster, as they did in the first half, give away the opening penalty. Well, they don't want to concede early on. I mean, Nick Williams did well from the kick-off. At last, managing to get through a couple of tackles. I said it was a good kick actually by Marshall. It would have been perfect, virtually on the button. The referee, Peter Fitzgibbon, I think 3 times he called for the winger to stay back, but Allen didn't. So disappointment to concede a potential 3 points so early in the second half. Another game on in the Principality, incidentally, this evening. Well, now there's the ball. Gosh, that was tight. I think if you look at it again, he was maybe a yard in front, but it was tough. As I said, the Dragons leading the Italian side Zebra by 16 points to 0 at Rodney Parade. Here it's 6-0 to the Ospreys, with the prospect of it being 9-0, which would mean that Ulster at this stage would be out of losing bonus point range. Biggar's going to nail it, and was there ever any doubt that he wasn't going to nail it? That's probably the best kick of the 3, because he had quite an angle to negotiate, and he negotiated much to the delight of old and young here at the Liberty Stadium. And I'm sure the Wales brain trust there, Gaz Jenkins on the left, and implacable Robin McBride on the right. So 9-0 to the Ospreys. So just to start, the Ospreys wanted, certainly when the Ulster side didn't. They'll be disappointed with that. Again, discipline, simple penalty conceded. And a soft penalty at that, no need for it. No, and he said he could argue, and he wasn't happy himself, but he was a yard in front. And the referee given every opportunity to stay back. Justin Tipperick takes it forward. That 3rd penalty by Biggar has given the Ospreys a little bit more momentum. And they've made some 20 metres. Now the referee's told Tito Tibaldi to use it. He's got 5 seconds in which to do so. This is Bevington, slid to ground underneath Declan Fitzpatrick. Tibaldi again. That's another clever kick. Well taken by Nick Williams. And it's spilled out of the New Zealanders' hands into touch for an Ospreys throw. Yeah, Tibaldi, as I mentioned earlier, technically he's good, and his kicking has been first class. I said his ability to put the ball where it counts, giving it enough air. It's man and ball, and there's always a good chase. Nick Williams doing well there, but Alan Wynne-Jones standing his ground. Tipperick got it back to Baldy. Good little crash ball in the middle of the park to Andrew Bishop. Advantage. Referee's given the penalty against Ulster. And what was this for?
Penalties against 12, not rolling away.
Look, Marshall made the tackle and he hasn't rolled away. And he looks a wee bit on the wobbly side, Luke Marshall. No, he's not too bad. I was given what happened to him last season in terms of the number of successive concussions he had. Every time he goes into a tackle, you start to worry a little bit, but he seems to be fine. And Biggar immediately has indicated that he's going to go to the post. So within 3 minutes of this second half, or 4 minutes, the Ospreys could be doubling their scores. When Marshall was on the ground, and did he get away in time? Was he interfering? Very difficult decision sometimes, Rob.
I think that's a poor decision. That ball was coming back. I mean, it wasn't as if the ball was slow as a result of Marshall being there. I think, again, that's quite a harsh decision. But I said 4 minutes and it could be 6 points.
Well, he's gone from 1,003 points at the start of this game to 1,009. It could well be 1,012. He's kicking with huge confidence. And that's another fine example of the art of goal kicking, which is hugely important to any side. And Ospreys just starting to ease away from Ulster at this stage. We've only played 4.5 minutes in the second half, and thanks to Dan Biggar's accurate boot, the Ospreys are 12-0 up.
Well, I said Jonathan Bell was speaking as he was going back to his seat, that they wanted to be more patient, cut down on the errors and keep their discipline. And said that certainly hasn't been the case at the start of this second half.
Well, Ulster will have the throw. Don't know why Biggar's so annoyed with himself. It maybe wasn't his best kick to touch, but he certainly made plenty of ground. Bevington having a little look, just counting the numbers in the Ulster line-out, one suspects. And they've got all 7 forwards in, apart from Rory Best, who'll be doing the throwing. Johan Muller. Dyack takes well. Paddy Jackson. Luke Marshall. Ball spilled by Ulster. Well, the errors proliferate once again. No advantage to the Ospreys as Alan Wynne-Jones comes away with that familiar grin on his face. And it's going to be an Osprey scrum first in the second half.
Well, another error though. Said, you know, we've seen far too many in the first half from both sides. But the second half has not been good.
Well, Luke Marshall is going off. I wonder how precautionary that is, given that he seemed to have taken a bit of a bump. So Stuart Olding is coming on for his first outing of the season. So Luke Marshall, capped 3 times by Ireland, makes way for a man who's even younger and has been capped once by Ireland already. One of half a dozen young Ulster players who won their first Irish caps in the last 12 months or so. There's a man on this side of the Ulster scrum, Tom Court, who's won 32 caps now.
Not stable and he's not ready to start again. Okay.
Tabaldi having a little word with Biggar now. Is there something clever on here? There is a little plot being hatched, I think. Yeah. Or maybe that's just a full Ulster and he's going to stick it up in the air, who knows?
No, he said Biggar's out there on the left hand side.
Set.
They have something planned.
Yes, no.
Well, Adam Jones has taken that down. Chris Henry looks at the touch judge on this near side. It's Jonathan Mason who's moved round from the other side where he was in the first half.
We've got a steady scrum.
Well, it certainly looked as if Adam Jones took that down. He might have lost his foot in. But Tom Court was very much upright there. I said referee Peter Fitzgibbon is on the other side of the scrum, but he does have his touch judge here to support him.
Tall man, Tom Court, very, very long in the back, almost 6'2" in height.
Set. Yes.
The referees come round to have a look at them, and of course when the referee's right beside them, they do behave. That's a penalty against Jones. Good squeeze by Tom Court, was actually shunting forward. A lovely back position and a good drive by Tom Court. And Adam Jones went inward.
I think he got that one right. I said the nudge was on. Tom Court getting the nudge on Adam Jones and not wanting to go back, turned inside, and as a result the scrum went down. Just look, the nudge comes on, his arm goes down, he tries to go inside, naturally going to take Tom Court to ground.
Yes, Chris Henry applauds the penalty, but applauds the fact that Peter Fitzgibbon actually gave it, I think.
That's their first point scoring opportunity, I think.
Correct, in the entire game, and we played over 8 minutes in the second half. So naughty Master Jones gives away the penalty, but can Master Jackson convert it to keep Ulster in touch? He needs to. A nice strike by Paddy Jackson, and that's a very good kick by Paddy Jackson. And Ulster really needed that one. And Paddy Jackson, who's kicking this season has yielded about a 52 or 53% success rate. He's just upped it by that one. So 8 minutes, almost 9 in the second half gone. And the Ospreys leading though, but just by 12 points to 3.
Yeah, when you consider we've been 48 minutes into this game, we've just had a half-time period. So he hasn't kicked the ball for goal for a while. So to keep his concentration and get those 3 points from there was excellent.
Well taken by Michael Allen, and a good sidestep, getting away from Jess Hassler. Paul Marshall, Rory Best. Got it to Robbie Dyack, and there's only really one Osprey on the ground competing. Now it's Marshall with the kick for Allen to chase. Beerman covers. Allen shuts him down. Great work by Beerman. Ferocious handoff. Gives him time to set the ball up to Baldy. Alan Wynne-Jones into Dan Tuohy, with whom he had a bit of a contretemps before the interval.
I called them all again. Called them all early then. Peter Fitzgibbon.
It was a moulded form, unplayable, wide scrum.
I always love this sort of incredulous look on Alan Wynne-Jones's face.
It's constant. He never does any wrong. Well, I said he gets away with a lot as a result. He's a very clever player. I mean, he's a great player, great rugby player, a great second row forward. But I said, you know, he does get away with an awful lot. He constantly goes to the edge of the law when it comes to either slowing possession down for the opposition, putting himself in the way. Very clever.
Yeah, good work by Dan Tuohy and by Nick Williams. And also the scrum. But we need to play more of this game in the Ospreys half and deep into the Ospreys half. The scrum was slewed run. Good strike by Best. Nick Williams controls. Paul Marshall well away to Jackson. Little miss move. Cave tries the grubber kick. Fussell waits. Not the tallest guy in the world. He really had to stretch. What a good piece of covering by Paddy Jackson. And he's seen the space. Now, if that just slows down, Biggar's going to be forced to kick. But that's what he's good at. And again, Ulster overall have made some decent ground. They've got themselves some inside their own half in one part of the field to the Ospreys' 10-metre line on the far side, and it's their put in. This was a good Ulster scrum. Look at Best, straight down the middle.
I tell you what, you still, even though the hooker now is still expected to hook the ball, you still see very little of it. There's still that scrummaging hooker who will sort of step over, doesn't want to lose his foot in, doesn't want to go on one foot and rely on his props alongside him, but Rory Best showing how it should be done.
Penalty against the Ospreys coming through the line-out.
You're in an offside position at the head of the ball. When it's played back, he's offside. So it doesn't matter. They tapped it.
Ospreys man got himself offside. I think it was Joe Beerman maybe. And decision for Ulster. Does Paddy Jackson go for gold or go into the corner? And he's going for the goal.
Well, Joe Beerman not too happy, as Alan Wynne-Jones, as you'd expect.
Before the ball, which puts him offside.
So he's in front of the ball before it was tapped.
Which you're not allowed to be.
Let's just have a look. He's up there. Ball gets tapped. Joe Beerman's through. Or was he through beforehand? This might give a better...
Yeah, well, there he is, you see. We couldn't see him. He was sort of sheltered from our view by Alan Wynne-Jones.
Yeah.
I think loitering with intent might be the charge
just
against
about.
him.
Just about, probably. I said he's just found himself there, I think, more than that.
It's the intent that made him guilty. Here's Jackson looking for a second successive penalty. Yes. And that's another great kick by Paddy Jackson. So very well struck by Ulster's outside half for the second time in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. And Ulster have closed the gap once again to 6 points, which is what it was at the interval. Ospreys 12, Ulster 6, and about 13 minutes played.
Well, it's been a masterclass of goal kicking by Biggar and Jackson. And both of them have struck the ball well. Very few have been easy kicks. They've all been from distance, all been wide out. Yet they've all sailed through the middle of the post.
Biggar. That's a perfect restart kick, but well taken by Dan Tuohy. Ospreys in quickly. Just a couple of them committed there. Alan Wynne-Jones right through as ever, and he and Nick Williams having a bit of a shoving match. A little bit tetchy. Paul Marshall. Beerman covers on halfway. Thought about giving it to Fussell. Chris Henry made the initial tackle. This is to Baldy. Biggar. got through a rather rusty Stuart Olding. Ospreys will be happy even to squeeze another penalty out of this. Here's Fussell. Bierman, plenty of pace, looking for Hassler outside him, and Ulster's covered, get him into touch. Good defence by Ulster. Peter Fitzgibbon's calling for time off yet again. Now he's going upstairs for something.
Dave, can you hear me? Yeah, just back into 22 about 30 seconds ago. There's a clinch between two players. Can you just check if there was any foul?
Oh, he's going back to check the handbags between Nick Williams and Alan Wynne-Jones. And Alan Wynne-Jones can't believe this.
Well, I mean, that is the
And neither can Nick Williams. Look at the two of them thinking, what is all this nonsense about?
I said it was handbags, you know, a bit of a scuffle. There were no punches thrown. There we are.
Well, now, did Williams put his fist into Alan Wynne-Jones's throat, which is probably going to be...
Well, it might be deemed as foul play, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that Peter Fitzgibbon has gone back to the TMO. That's why games are lasting so long these days. It just gives the referee more power. This is still a physical game, Jim. It's ridiculous. It's a physical game.
Hello, Peter.
Yes, mate, go ahead.
No, nothing in it, mate. Play the line out.
Nothing clear now, thank you. Line out.
I think there's nothing
Well done,
there.
Derek. Common sense.
Derek Bevan.
That was common sense.
Yeah, that's a point for my old buddy Derek Bevan. Well done. Good decision.
Yeah, but it's extended the game for another minute.
Well, I guess the crowd will be getting their money's worth in terms of tries scored anyway. 12-6 to the Ospreys. 4 penalties from Dan Biggar to 2 by Ulster's Paddy Jackson. Knocked back on the Ospreys side.
Advantage.
But by an Ulster hand, so the advantage is with the Ospreys. That's a good bit of disruption on the Ulster line-out. Alan Wynne-Jones. Quicker ball. They're getting that ball away much quicker than Ulster. That was knocked forward.
Advantage over.
And Michael Allen has given that a fair old hoof. And all the way back goes the speedy Justin Tipperick. What a good kick by Tipperick. Well taken by Jackson. He's got McElwain outside him. McElwain is chasing. Well taken by Fussell. He promptly knocks it forward. Now is there an advantage to Ulster here? And the answer is no. Good pressure by McElwain.
Good pressure. I suppose we saw that. Miller wanting to blow his trumpet too much. Justin Tipperick as one of the best footballing back row forwards, I think, in the world game. He does hail from the same village as me, Jim, I have to be honest, and he coaches my local club side, so there is an element of bias there. But
I was going to say, why don't you just sit on the bench, you know?
But yeah, I mean, you know, he's been very impressive since he's come onto the scene, and the international scene in particular. He's had a great footballer. He hasn't been as prominent this evening. It's only his second game back, but always the neat touches of a footballing back rower.
Big Ian Henderson has come on for Robbie Dyack in the Ulster back row. Henderson equally at home in the second row or the back row, and it's a bit uncertain as to what his best position is going to be. But remember, he is only 21 years of age and already capped 6 times by Ireland. And at 6'6" and just over 18 stones, he is a major talent. But we're just talking about the Ospreys back row. They've got a lot of good players. James King, who can play in the second row as well, and Sam Lewis, who's had a great season so far. So lots of talent there. Penalty kick against the Ospreys front row. And this looks a decent position for Paddy Jackson. Somebody's down hurting his knees. It looks like Declan Fitzpatrick has got himself squeezed in that scrum. And you always worry about a prop forward when a scrum collapses untidily.
Well, yeah,
the ladies of the Liberty
are not happy.
The Liberty Bells are not happy.
Well, I mean, there have been 3 penalties, I think, of actually more throughout the game at scrum time against the Ospreys. I think it's, you know, the Ospreys are regarded, certainly in Wales, as the best forward pack. I said they've got 5 British Lions. You know, they are a quality outfit. So when it comes to being penalised at scrum time, a major strength of theirs.
I don't understand it, because from here I thought Declan Fitzpatrick was at fault, but Paddy Jackson now with another penalty. It's a fair distance away, but it's straight in front of the Ospreys posts. just to close the gap to 3 points.
Yes.
And that's another excellent kick by Paddy Jackson. So 3 out of 3 for the Ulster outside half. And it's now Ospreys 12 and Ulster 6, and we played 17 minutes, Rob.
Well, so the penalty there, I don't think was against an individual. It was the scrum as a whole. I think, you know, not being steady, and there was constant movement.
Did I say Ulster 6? I did, of course, mean Ulster 9. Sorry, Mr. Jackson. 3 out of 3 for him. Biggar again. Williams waits and takes. Good tackle by Jeff Hassler on the hefty New Zealander. Oh, Wyn Jones making a nuisance of himself, and this time Michael Allen just hung back a bit. Behrman knocked it forward. Play on, says the referee. Marshall. Wrong option by Paul Marshall. Too many big black jerseys around him. But the first knock forward was by the Ospreys, and it's going to be an Ulster scrum.
Yeah, and he's got that right. I think he missed the second knock on by Chris Henry, I think. Initially, yeah, Joe Behrman going up, made very few mistakes. Then there was another knock on. I said the initial one counts. So I said the error is still very much in this game. We haven't seen any fluent rugby at all. It hasn't really sparked to life. It's been down to that man there and his opposite number, Paddy Jackson, to get those points on the board.
Well, if it stays like this, the Ospreys will certainly be the happier of the two. It'll be played 5 and won 4 and drawn 1.
Yes, 9.
Good squeeze by the Ospreys, and Ulster's put in, but Ulster move forward. That's good work, but they've lost control of it in the back. Down goes Michael Allen. He's knocked it forward. It's still there. Allen may well have come in from an offside position. Referee's playing good advantage to the Ospreys. Bevington gets it away. And again, Ospreys hoping to prosper from an Ulster mistake. Advantage is gone. Taken on by Andrew Bishop. Biggar. To Bishop's buddy in the middle of the park, Ashley Beck.
Release off your feet.
Well, the Ospreys crowd now starting to get behind their side. Bevington on the narrow side runs into Nick Williams, who tries to turn him. Tabaldi has to dig it out. Slower ball this time for the Ospreys. Richard Hibbard, that's quicker. Tabaldi sweeps it away. Biggar. Clever little chip kick through. Paul Marshall is there for Ulster. Managed to avoid the first tackle. Somebody's going to have to get this back to Paddy Jackson. Ian Henderson decides to take it on to let Marshall get back to his normal position.
Stay back.
And Marshall kicks, and kicks pretty well. And that was knocked into touch by Joe Behrman, and that's going to be an Ulster line out. Coming up to the end of the third quarter, nothing between these sides.
No, nothing. I think territorially, probably the Ospreys have had slightly the better in the second half, but they said we haven't seen anything to think that one team is getting on top. Duncan Jones is on, so it's a pretty formidable front row in terms of hairstyles in particular.
Well, absolutely. Complete opposite of the Welsh panel who are actually watching. These two have been known as the hair bearers for a long time. Duncan Jones now 35 years of age with 57 Welsh caps. Well taken by Henderson. Jackson got it away from the onrushing Tipperick. Justin no more. Drifted back to Chris Henry. Taken in by Andrew Trimble, of whom we've seen so little. Jackson looking for a little probing kick. Well covered by Jeff Hassler. That might drift out of touch on the full, and it has done, and it's going to be an Ulster line-out.
No.
Well, I'm just thinking Trimble was heavily involved early on. Eli Walker was heavily involved early on. I don't think we've seen them in the last sort of 50 minutes of play. You know, the ball hasn't gone beyond midfield. It's been a kick-in battle. It's been error-strewn. I said it's been defences have worked well.
Well, Ulster making 2 more replacements, probably just to get some game time before final selection for the Heineken Cup. Roger Wilson has come on for Nick Williams, and Michael Heaney has come on at scrum half for Paul Marshall. And this is Heaney. Away to Jackson, inside to Michael Allen. Three former Methodist College pupils going 1, 2, 3. Good driving by Ulster, picked up by Tom Court. Good support from Declan Fitzpatrick. Is better by Ulster. Tipuric told to get out of the way. Heaney in the narrow side. Rory Best back inside to Henderson, who always seems to slip at least one tackle. Tui. Well, he held on to it, rather clever by Tui. They were expecting the pass. Heaney, Jackson, Stuart Olding. Good to see him with ball in hand, and he's making good use of it. Better by Ulster. Michael Heaney, Chris Henry. Henry still going. Duncan Jones with the tackle. Michael Heaney. Good little soft pass to the onrushing Andrew Trimble. Ulster present it nicely. Can they finish this one off? Here comes Tui. Ulster 10 metres away, looking for the first try of the game. Rory Best. Oh, look at Henderson again. He makes a lot of ground. Heaney complaining about something. Ulster still have it. This is their captain, Johan Muller. And again Heaney. Jackson.
Away 4.
Gets himself caught by Alan Wynne Jones. The referee tells the Ospreys skipper to get out of it. Darren Cave. A languid dummy. Trimble. Oh, he managed to get it away, but I think it was forward to Chris Henry. The idea was right, the execution didn't quite work out. Referee's playing advantage. Tebaldi has a wee glance to his right and then left. And Biggar, guess what he's going to do? Well, now that's bounced handily from Michael Allen. He needs some support. Showing great strength. Heaney, good use of the narrow side. Jackson, Henderson. Tebaldi with the tackle. Well, Henderson set it up magnificently. Tom Court got good support from Tui. Ulster have got the penalty. Referees playing advantage to the visitors. And that's good work by Ulster, and all that pressure has paid off.
That was excellent work. I mean, very patient play by Ulster. You know, even when they lost possession, perhaps doing a little again, bringing that inside ball into Trimble, they lost possession. You know, when they did get it back, they kept their patience. There's a lot of tired bodies out there, but what an opportunity here for Paddy Jackson. 12-0 down. They've clawed their way back, Ulster, to put themselves in a position to level the game.
Yeah, we can take it.
And certainly they've overall, Rob, they've been playing the more inventive rugby.
They have. They've been far better, certainly behind the scrum than the Ospreys. There's a lot more imagination in their game and variety. Paddy Jackson has put the ball wide. He's looked for that inside ball. He's also looked for runners like Trimble and Allen off his shoulder. And he's kept the Ospreys defence thinking from the start to the finish.
Well, we had 4 successive penalties from Dan Biggar to put the Ospreys 12-0 up. And we've had 4 successive penalties from Paddy Jackson to pull this game level. It's now Ospreys 12, Ulster 12, and just over 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, they deserve it as well. As I said, they have been a better side over the last 15 minutes or so. And they had a sticky start to the second period, but they've come on leaps and bounds. The one thing I will...
Ospreys making replacements. Sorry, Rob.
So, no, carry on, Joe.
No, you carry on. Go on.
No, I was just saying the guys at half-time were talking about the fact that the Ospreys weren't committing numbers to the breakdown, and maybe the pick up and drive might be the better option. Well, for the first time we saw it there, and that's what got Ulster those 5-10 yards on the front foot to give them the opportunity to, you know, to get those 3 points.
Ospreys have brought on a couple of forward replacements. James King, who can play in the second row or in the back row, will he come on in the second row, and Sam Lewis wearing number 20, and also brought on the loose head prop replacement, Callum Black. But it's still Biggar with the restart. This time it's Roger Wilson. It's a bit high from Duncan Jones. Referee's happy enough. Michael Heaney looking to go down the tram lines, and that's not a bad kick by Heaney. Well taken by Bierman. Fussell. Ulster mustn't give him a sniff of a gap. Well set up by the Ospreys. Tebaldi squeezed it away. Biggar. It's gone loose. Back on the Ulster side, pulled in by Fitzpatrick. well away by Darren Cave. It's the right option. Andrew Trimble coming, herring it down that far touchline, and thumps Richard Fussell into touch, and that's going to be an Ulster line-out.
Play on.
Taken quickly by Ulster. Trimble comes hurtling in. Referee turned his back and didn't see him maybe go off his feet. Declan Fitzpatrick. Heaney. Jackson. David McElwain. Darren Cave. That is not a bad kick. It might just sit up, but it's not going to.
No mistake.
And Fussell will dot it down for the 22.
They're looking sharper though, Ulster. They've certainly got a bit more of a spring in their step.
Richard Fussell talked about ever the showman, talking about taking a quick, not Richard Fussell, I should say Richard Hibbert, thought about taking a quick tap.
Onside, yeah, onside.
But they leave it to Old Reliable. Biggar. Nice little chip. Good call by Roger Wilson. And Wilson gets away.
Sorry. Okay, silent.
Penalty against Ulster. I thought for a minute the referee was going to penalise an Osprey, but Ulster gave away the penalty when they really didn't have to. It was such a good position for them.
Yeah, I think it was Roger Wilson did well initially. Perhaps could have got the ball away there just before he went to deck. I think it was again either an offside position or in from the side. And perhaps just going off their feet.
Yeah, well, Tui certainly wasn't taking all his weight on his legs, and did he come in from behind? Probably not. Ospreys just inside the Ulster half, 12 apiece. Under 12 minutes remaining. That's gone too long. Pulled in though by the Ospreys. Adam Jones. Tui with the tackle.
Use it.
To Baldy to go down the near side. It's a good kick. Allen's made a mess of it, and the Ospreys will get the scrum. Little fingertip there by Michael Allen. Rare error by a young man who's in such good form this season, given the talent when fit in the wing three-quarter and centre three-quarter positions. But it was a fingertip knock forward, an advantage Ospreys.
I misread that. I said Tabaldi has kicked exceptionally well. That on that occasion, he was under pressure from Roger Wilson for the first time. Didn't quite have the same connection. Probably a couple of yards too long. In fact, Michael Allen had time to get under that and secure it. Just misread perhaps the flight of the ball, but for the first time in a while, the Ospreys are where they want to be.
This is the closest they've been to the Ulster line for probably about 25 minutes. Callum Black on against Adam Jones. Black has been scrummaging well. Only missed one match day squad in more than a season. Ulster try to whip it round. Tabaldi gets it away. This could be interesting. Biggar has gone loose. Olding gets it away. Has to give it. He does give it. Andrew Trimble. Bit of a missed kick. Here comes McElwain. Pushes Fussell in the back, but that's a penalty because Fussell didn't have the ball. McElwain claiming that he did have the ball, but Peter Fitzgibbon was right beside him. That was another marginal call.
It is marginal. Did he have control of the ball? He probably didn't, but did he have his hands near the ball? Was he? I mean, I suppose you have to have control of the ball before you make a tackle or a push.
Just outside there where the mark is.
Again, that was marginal. It was marginal. But probably, I think Peter Fitzgibbon probably did get that right.
Well, I'd like to have another look if our host director can oblige. And right on cue, here he is now.
3.
Ooh, oh, I tell you that.
Well, he was. I would have
quite
thought
harsh.
he was reasonably under control of that ball. Like he was.
Well, he lost control.
Yeah.
Perhaps he had control initially and lost control because of the push.
Well,
time in there.
Stuart Olding, a rather agricultural hack, but well done by Darren Cave, who got it away. And Olding trying to get outside his man. And the Lions test prop, Adam Jones, gives way to Aaron Jarvis. And Ben John has come on wearing number 23 on the wing for Jeff Hassler. So you can see both coaches thinking about next week. Well taken down by James King, one of the Ospreys replacements. Duncan Jones, another one.
Use it. Hold.
Didn't really want to hang on to that ball, and Tebaldi has miscued that one, and that could go anywhere. Now it's come back on the Ospreys side, and penalty.
Yeah.
But Ospreys were offside. And Jackson, I think it's a bit too far out, but he'll certainly think about it. It really is a long way out for Paddy Jackson. Had it been last year's kicker, Ruan Pinar, I think there would have been no doubt about it. Well, he is going to have a shot at goal. Well,
he struck the ball very well.
He's backed himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Well, this game is going to be, it looks, well, I mean, certainly as of now, and probably right until the death, this game is going to go down to the quality of the goal kicking. And Paddy Jackson has said, backing himself. You always run the risk there where you're kicking from inside your own half. If you don't strike it well, if you're under pressure, and if you sky it, as Tebaldi did there, you know, more often than not, you can see the penalty. You're laughing there at Mr. Adam Jones, Jim?
He's actually one of the funniest guys in the world, and one of the nicest guys you could meet. He's a lovely, wry sense of humour, you know. But it'll be smiles all round for Ulster. Paddy Jackson can land this one, and he struck it well. It needs to carry. What a kick by Jackson! And he's put Ulster in the lead for the first time in this game. Just over 7 minutes remaining, and that's his best kick of the season and his best kicking display of the season. 5 out of 5. That one from half a mile away, and what a belter by Jackson. And Ulster 3 points to the good.
That is a fantastic kick. I said he's full of confidence. He struck the ball well from the start, and it's just summed it up with that 50-metre strike. And it's no more than Ulster deserve. They've been the better side in the second period, the more inventive, and deserve it certainly.
Michael Heaney's kick is fielded by Ben John, who's wrapped up by Ian Henderson. First of all by Chris Henry, who's got to get himself back on side. That's good momentum by the Ospreys pack. Biggar sweeps it away. There's a big hit. Here comes Walker. First chance we've seen of him with ball in hand. Rory Best makes the tackle. Ulster will have to release, and they do. Ulster will not want to concede a penalty. Gathered in by Paddy Jackson, and he saw a bit of space. That's a very astute kick by Ulster's outside half. Biggar has a go himself. Tackled initially by Johan Muller, the Ulster captain. Tebaldi, no way through. That was good work by Michael Heaney on the tackle. Walker at scrum half. A little bit of a hop and a step. That's knocked forward.
Good pressure by Ulster. They put the pressure on. Even there, the pressure on Dan Biggar. I said definitely Paddy Jackson having the better of this half in terms of the tactical appreciation when it comes to kicking. But then the pressure, the great line chase that Dan Biggar meant he had to step inside, but it kept the Ospreys where Ulster wanted them. And they forced the error, forced the mistake. And now it's scrum time and an opportunity again.
And it's an Ulster put in. Biggar just in the wars ever so slightly. He seems to be fine. There's an Ulster player down. Darren Cave in with a good tackle. This is Eli Walker, and came back in field and slipped past a couple of Ulster forwards and then ran into Rory Best, who managed to hang on to him. That was good work by the Ulster Ireland and Lions hooker. 7 tries and 29 league appearances. Eli Walker taking home a bit of the grass for a souvenir.
He's a good young player. He said he's struggled with injury for a period of time, but he's quick, he's sharp, and I think the more rugby he gets, the better he'll become.
Dan Toohey, who's likely to be the next Ulster player to reach the century of appearances. This is 93rd. The Jones boys have long since passed 100 appearances for the Ospreys. Alan Wynne-Jones making his 150th this evening. Clock will start, just over 5 minutes remaining, and Ulster 3 points to the good. Forces split. Stuart Olding standing directly behind the scrum as if he's in the outside half position. Again, Peter Fitzgibbon not happy with the pre-engagement bit of the scrummage. into the last 5 minutes. It's been a very good second half by this Ulster side. They've kept the composure, and Paddy Jackson's kicking has been exemplary. Roger Wilson is controlling it nicely. There's the pickup. Gets it to Olding. Little chip in behind the defence. Fussell makes a bit of a mess of it. And Ulster need to pounce, and they do pounce. Allen is in there quickly. Ospreys, I think, have regathered the ball. Tabaldi. That's a well-struck kick, but it's going to be an Ulster line-out.
I tell you what, it's great play by Ulster. I said they're getting the ball into the wide channels and then just threading it through behind the defensive line, putting pressure on Fussell. I said he bobbled the ball there, but the line chase was good, the numbers was good, and immediately then the pressure's on. No way out other than to put the ball into touch. It eats away at the clock and it turns the ball back into Ulster possession.
Callum Black just communicating the call to Rory Best. Great take by Tuig, goes to ground immediately. Ospreys must keep themselves onside. Pick up and drive by the visitors. He's having a good look, and he's given the penalty. And I'm sure Paddy Jackson will go for the post. The referee has gone though for the pocket, and somebody's going to go to the bin, and I have a feeling it's the replacement prop forward, Aaron Jarvis, and he's off. And the Ospreys will see out the rest of this game with only 14 players.
Well, I think with the number of penalties that have been conceded by both sides, it was inevitable that a yellow card would be shown at some stage. That's for not rolling away, and there's been a few penalties against both sides for that, but you know, I do wonder just how you can get away for certain situations. Aaron Jarvis is in, he's made the tackle, he's lying on the ground. I suppose if you look at it, he's pinned on the ground. Is he trying to get away? I would say he's doing his best.
I think he looked as if he was waiting for someone to bring him a cup of tea. No, there'll be more than a cup of tea for this fellow if he can land this one, because it would make life a lot more difficult for the Ospreys. It's quite a way out yet again in a difficult angle, and Jackson struck it well, and he struck it perfectly yet again. The perfect 6 for Paddy Jackson, and Jackson has made it 6 out of 6. And with 3 minutes remaining, Ulster are 6 points up. Ospreys 12, Ulster 18.
He's been named as man of the match, Paddy Jackson, and rightly so. It's not just his kicking, which has potentially won them the game, but his control as well. His kicking tactically has been good. He's varied his game.
Ball has gone loose. Ulster of 2.5 minutes. Mind you, the Ospreys, a converted try would win them this game, and they're certainly going to give it a go. That was a great tackle by Ulster. Ball back on the Dragon side. The Osprey side, I should say, not the Dragons. Fussell gets it away. Biggar, Tipperick, always dangerous. Great turn of pace by Tipperick, covered by Henderson. Here comes the skipper, Alan Wynne-Jones. The Ospreys still capable of maybe snatching this one. Ulster hoping not to give away a penalty. Tabaldi, well tackled by Stuart Olding. Still there for the Ospreys.
Yellow card.
It's going to be a yellow card against an Ulsterman.
Not rolling. Not rolling away.
And it's Stuart Olding who's given away the penalty. And he's in the sin bin. Biggar takes it quickly. Hibbard. Ospreys still capable of winning this game. A converted try would do it for them. Remember, Ulster lost in the last minute at home to the Glasgow Warriors. Is the same thing going to happen to them here in the Liberty Stadium against the Osprey side, who've had to give second best for most of the second half? Alan Wynne-Jones, the Osprey skipper. A minute and a half to go. Hibbard looking for the ball. Ulster bodies really been thrown into this. Pick up and drive yet again. This is great work by the Ospreys. It's all about control. It's coming back on the Osprey side yet again. Referee saying play on.
Yeah, advantage knock on, I think.
I think there was a knock forward there, but he is playing advantage. Hibbard. Ulster really putting everything into the final minute. It's Tipperick moving forward. Ulster trying to hold him out. Ospreys just a metre away. A try close to the post would mean game over for Ulster. Again, it comes back on the Osprey side. Tabaldi may think about going wide. Ulster stray offside. That's how close they are. an arm length away.
Knock on. They've lost it. They've lost it.
Ospreys may well have spilled the ball forward. They have spilled the ball forward, and it's going to be an Ulster scrum, and they have an advantage in the scrum.
Well, they do. And yeah, it's been a knock on. Just look at Richard Hibbard, bloodied there. It's incredible how they just upped their game when it looked as if the game was lost. No side have looked really like scoring a try this evening, but when it matters, and the Ospreys have just lifted the tempo, lifted the pace, and put real pressure on Ulster's defence. But they've held tight, and here's their opportunity to clear the ball and win this game.
Well, the Ospreys will have to bring on a prop forward because they've got Aaron Jarvis in the bin, and that will not do them any harm at all, and they may slip somebody, one of their outside backs, into the back row.
Okay, I've got 17 seconds.
I think they might have to just
17 seconds remaining. I can hear Peter Fitzgibbon saying, where did this knock forward occur? The ball was nicely presented, but Ulster straight offside. This is where Hibbard got the bloodied nose, and sometime thereafter there was a knock forward, and that must have been it.
Who's coming off?
So Adam Jones is coming on.
Hang on.
And they've taken off Ben John.
Taken off the back. Massive pressure now. They want to exert to this scrum.
Well, this for Ulster, the most important scrum of their season so far. So Adam Jones, having thought his day was over, has been pressed into service again, and the referee says time on, and there's 15 seconds remaining, and all Ulster have to do is get this ball into the scrum and get it into touch, or touch it down, and that's going to be game over. Down they go. Referee says no, and that will not do Ulster any harm at all because the clock will still keep going. So we've now got 80 minutes gone.
Yeah, this ball now, it just needs to go in, get back to 8 as quickly as possible. Back to Jackson, he can put it over the touchline, dab the ball down, whatever he wants to do, the whistle will go. They have to focus on the scrum. Richard Hibbard, I mean the Ospreys I'm sure will look to get a drive here, try and drive them off the ball, but they've been solid enough Ulster up until now.
Rory Best not at all happy, and the crowd not at all happy that Ulster's wily hooker, Ireland's most capped hooker, is just taking his time. There's the crouch. And now the bind. Set. Quicker by Peter Fitzgibbon. Get it in, he says to Michael Heaney. Rory Best sweeps. Ospreys got a huge drive on. They're still going for this. There's still a chance that Ulster can lose this one. Ospreys come hurtling in. Penalty against the Ospreys for offside as Michael Heaney dumps the ball down. And if Ulster put this into touch, which they should do, then that's going to be game over. Well, a lot of high fives all run by Ulster, but there's a lot of relief, and Johan Muller has got the headgear off, and I thought because the ball had been touched down behind the Ulster line, that was going to be game over.
I think he blew the whistle beforehand, the penalty, but this will just go behind the post. Paddy Jackson, there it is, game over.
Off it goes. Paddy Jackson doesn't care where the ball goes, and the man of the match, the man who kicked 6 immaculate penalties in the second half, has made sure that Ulster have won for the second year in a row here in the Liberty Stadium against the high-flying Ospreys. Sheer Ulster determination, and Paddy Jackson's right boot carried them through. Final score, Ospreys 12 and Ulster 18.
Well, that is a fine away win at the Liberty Stadium for Ulster. Referee dominated the game at times. There were loads of mistakes and errors, but there was also lots of excitement and drama. Dan Biggar kicked 4 out of 4 for the Ospreys, but whatever Biggar could do, Paddy Jackson could do even better. 6 out of 6, and Ulster win by 18 points to 12. A great goal-kicking performance there by Paddy Jackson. Bryn Cunningham,